So you open your laptop or you're just scrolling through your phone, and suddenly it feels like absolutely everyone is an artificial intelligence guru.
Oh, yeah. Literally everyone.
Right. And on one side of your feed, you have these people screaming that you need to build a whole fleet of AI agents to run your entire life, automate your job, manage your finances, or, you're going to be left in the dust.
As a zealots.
Exactly, the zealots. And then right below that, you have the other extreme, the doomers.
Mm-hmm.
Warning that we are all just entirely obsolete and need to start preparing for, like, the end of human usefulness.
It is genuinely exhausting to read.
It really is.
Yeah.
So to the learner listening right now, if you are feeling completely overwhelmed by this avalanche of conflicting advice, you are definitely not alone.
No, not at all. Those two extreme viewpoints tend to just eat up all the oxygen in the room. Because, if you believe a machine god is going to magically solve all of our societal issues, or conversely, if you think it's going to inevitably destroy us, you can't really have a productive conversation.
Right. Like, what are you actually supposed to do at your desk on a Tuesday morning?
Exactly. The extremes don't help you do your job.
Which is exactly why today's deep dive is pulling from a really fascinating, highly practical conversation between leadership expert Simon Sinek and Wharton professor Ethan Mollick. Mollick is an AI researcher who, refreshingly, sits right in the middle of those extremes.
It's a very pragmatic perspective.
Very. So our mission for this deep dive is to cut through all that doomer versus zealot noise. We're going to extract the exact practical frameworks you need to use this technology effectively, stand out in your career, and, critically, protect your own ability to think.
That last part is so important.
It really is. Okay, let's unpack this because AI has moved way past being just a glorified Google search. We've entered a totally new phase.
We really have. And understanding the mechanics of this shift is just crucial because for a while we were in what we could call the generative phase. You'd use a chatbot to bounce ideas around, draft an email, get a quick summary.
Like a really smart autocomplete.
Exactly. It was highly interactive, but it required you to hold its hand step by step. But now we are aggressively entering what is called the agentic era.
Agentic, meaning the software actually has agency.
Spot on. Agentic AI refers to systems that can independently go out and execute complex, multi-step workflows. You no longer just ask it a question, you give it an overarching goal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you can ask it to, say, research a new market segment, scrape the relevant data, analyze competitor pricing, and write a comprehensive strategy report. It plans the steps, and it actually executes them.
That's wild.
The raw capability of these systems right now is staggering, and that completely changes how you must interact with them if you want to remain relevant.
Yeah, and there is a specific study from the sources that perfectly illustrates this raw capability. It's called the GDP-Val study.
Oh, right, the one with the professionals.
Yeah. Researchers took a group of professionals, corporate lawyers, product managers, journalists, representing a huge chunk of the U.S. economy.
Yeah.
And critically, these were not interns. These were veterans. They had an average of 14 years of experience in their fields. And the researchers had these human experts complete a highly complex, specialized task. It took the humans about 7 or 8 hours of continuous work.
A full workday.
A full workday. Then they handed the exact same prompt to the AI, and it completed the entire task in 15 minutes.
Wow. And what's fascinating here is the methodology they used to evaluate that output.
Right, the blind grading.
Yes. They brought in a third group of blind evaluators to grade the work, with absolutely no idea if a human or a machine produced it. And those evaluators found that the AI's 15-minute output was equal to, or strictly better than, the human's 8-hour output a staggering 84% of the time.
84%. I mean, that is a paradigm-shifting number.
It completely shifts the entire value proposition of the human worker. Efficiency in the workplace is historically defined by how fast you can grind through a problem, right? Or how fast you can generate a deliverable.
Yeah.
That era is over. Efficiency is now entirely about how quickly you can evaluate whether the AI got the problem right.
So it's like suddenly being promoted from a line cook to the head chef.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Right. You aren't standing at the station chopping the onions anymore. You're the one standing at the pass, tasting the soup to see if it needs a pinch of salt before it goes out to the dining room.
Yes, exactly.
But to do that, you have to know what good soup actually tastes like. And the source material pointed out a huge cognitive risk here. Like, if you just let the AI act as your line cook and write your first draft, its ideas might completely take over your own.
Yeah, they call it the death of the crappy first draft.
Which is such a real thing.
It is. Writing a terrible, messy first draft is historically how humans figure out what they actually think. The act of struggling to put words on a page forces your brain to organize its logic.
Right, the friction is the point.
Exactly. If you outsource that initial friction completely to a machine, you aren't just saving time, you are inheriting the machine's baseline assumptions. Your brain anchors to its statistical output.
But staying with that head chef analogy, if human workers are now expected to be the evaluators, we run straight into a massive structural roadblock. How do you evaluate the quality of the work if you have never chopped the onions yourself?
Which brings us to a massive myth that absolutely needs busting today. The digital native myth.
Yes, let's talk about this.
We tend to assume that just because younger generations grew up with an iPad in their hands and social media in their pockets, they are automatically going to be the absolute masters of AI in the workplace.
Yeah, just assume they'll get it faster.
But it is a pervasive and incredibly dangerous assumption. The sources highlighted a study from Boston consulting group BCG, which revealed something completely counterintuitive. Junior employees were actually significantly worse at using AI effectively than senior employees.
That feels entirely backwards. I mean, we've been told for a decade that the youngest people in the room are the digital savants.
Yeah.
Why are they struggling more with this specific tool?
Because being native to a highly curated algorithmic feed, like TikTok, does not mean you are native to artificial intelligence. To effectively use AI, you need a mental model of the actual subject matter. Junior employees often end up acting as mere conduits to Claude or ChatGPT.
Conduits to Claude, I like that.
Yeah, they prompt the AI, it generates a beautiful, confidently written 40-page report, and they just hand it straight to their boss without actually understanding the single underlying concept inside that report.
Because they don't have the baseline knowledge.
Wait, they can't check the math or the logic
Right.
because they don't have the industry experience yet. Like you said earlier, they don't know what good soup tastes like.
Man. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this dynamic is actively breaking what we can call the apprenticeship pipeline.
Yeah.
Because for roughly 4,000 years of human history, the way you became a specialist, a master blacksmith, a senior lawyer, an experienced architect was through apprenticeship. You did the grunt work.
You learn by doing the boring stuff.
Exactly. A little manager gave you the tedious spreadsheets and the boring research reports precisely so you could learn the ropes, make small mistakes, and build intuition.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that breaks the whole talent pipeline. Because today, that junior employee functionally knows less than the AI sitting on the manager's laptop.
Wow, yeah.
And that middle manager, who is under immense pressure to deliver results, would much rather delegate a boring task to an AI that will complete it flawlessly in 15 minutes than wait 3 days for a flawed learning human to do it. The grunt work, which is the foundational scaffolding of learning, is just dead.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. If the grunt work is dead, how does someone entering a brand new field today actually build that crucial intuition? Because if the corporate talent pipeline is broken, this isn't just an HR problem.
Not at all.
This strikes at the core of human cognitive development and how we learn anything at all.
It is a profound structural shift. The threat isn't just to entry-level jobs, it is a threat to the very act of deep thinking. There is a brilliant analogy in the source material involving a piece of vintage tech.
Oh, the Casio digital diary.
Yes.
Yes, Simon Sinek brought this up, and it perfectly illustrates the mechanism at play here. He recalled how, in his younger years, he used to have a steel trap memory for phone numbers. If you told him a number once, his brain just logged it.
I remember those days.
Right. But then he bought a Casio digital diary with a whopping 2 kilobytes of memory, which, was cutting edge at the time, and he manually entered all his numbers into it. The moment he outsourced that specific cognitive task to a machine, his brain just stopped remembering numbers entirely.
The neural pathway just atrophied.
Exactly, because it was no longer required to carry the load.
It is a fantastic micro-example of a much larger historical trend. Think about the invention of the printing press. Before it existed, epic poems like the Iliad and the Odyssey were preserved through oral traditions.
Right. Human beings routinely memorize hundreds of pages of complex poetry.
Which is mind-blowing today. But the printing press comes along, democratizes knowledge, but suddenly human brains no longer needed to do that specific type of heavy lifting. The capacity to memorize epics just faded.
Which, honestly, is fine for phone numbers and ancient poetry. I mean, I don't need to memorize my dentist's phone number.
Fair enough.
But the danger here is the underlying biological reality that effort is learning. Learning is inherently an effortful, frustrating, and sometimes deeply uncomfortable process. It requires friction.
Yes, the friction is where the growth happens.
Right. If AI constantly provides a frictionless shortcut, if it just hands you the synthesized answer without you having to struggle through reading the source material, you learn nothing. You just don't build the mental models.
And we are already culturally primed to accept this shortcut. We live in a society that has become incredibly discomfort avoidant. You see it in ghosting culture, in dating or friendships, where people simply avoid the friction of a hard conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
You see it in the corporate obsession with short-term, immediate quarter-over-quarter results rather than long-term structural quality. AI is simply the ultimate frictionless shortcut in a society that already desperately wants to avoid friction.
I have to pause and really push back on this trajectory, though.
Okay, lay it on me.
If people are naturally discomfort avoidant, and you hand them a machine that can do all their heavy mental lifting for free, aren't we guaranteeing a massive societal atrophy of critical thinking across the board?
It's a huge risk.
I mean, it takes tremendous unnatural discipline to look at an AI and say, no, don't give me the answer, debate me on the premises so I can learn. How do you actually force a population to choose the harder path?
That is the defining tension of this entire technological era. It requires active, conscious choice to use the tool to lift mental weights rather than using it as a mental wheelchair.
A mental wheelchair, wow.
But the sources point out that AI also offers a powerful countermeasure to this exact problem. It can function as the ultimate personalized tutor. Advanced models possess a sort of artificial theory of mind.
Theory of mind, meaning it can understand and adapt to the perspective of the person it's talking to.
Exactly. Because it has ingested the entirety of human language, it understands how to communicate with humans on their specific idiosyncratic level. If you have a student who couldn't care less about abstract algebra but is absolutely obsessed with basketball, the AI can seamlessly teach complex mathematical principles using only basketball analogies.
Just totally bridging the gap in engagement.
Right. It meets you exactly where you are.
That is historically unprecedented.
It is, yes. Technologies always demand sacrifices. We sacrificed the oral tradition, we sacrificed using slide rules, and we sacrificed writing and cursive.
R.I.P. curse.
Right. But the AI tutor provides something humanity has never had at scale. A tireless, endlessly patient conversation partner that can debate you at your exact level of understanding. It can push you to think harder without the social anxiety of feeling dumb in front of a human professor or a senior manager.
So the tool that threatens to make us stop thinking is also the most powerful tool ever invented to teach us how to think.
Exactly. It just depends on how you prompt it.
And that directly impacts what happens when we zoom out from the individual classroom and look at the broader economy. Because if AI makes everyone, regardless of their inherent skill level, capable of perfect grammar, flawless Python code, and brilliant data analysis without the effort, what happens to competence?
It becomes a baseline commodity. When perfect execution is free and practically instant, being good at your job doesn't make you stand out anymore.
The bar just moves up.
Exactly. The baseline of acceptable quality raises so high that basic competence is no longer a competitive edge. It is just the table stakes to enter the room. However, researchers point out that AI does have what is called a jagged frontier.
Meaning its capabilities aren't a straight, predictable line.
Correct. It is unbelievably good at some highly complex analytical tasks and inexplicably terrible at others. And one of the things it struggles with most is capturing genuine, unpredictable human variation.
Because it's based on math.
Yes. Because AI models function by predicting the statistically most likely next word, their output is, by definition, the ultimate mathematical average of all human thought.
Which perfectly explains the voice problem the sources brought up. We are already suffering from AI voice in the workplace.
Oh, it's everywhere.
You know exactly what I mean. You open an email or a LinkedIn post, and it has that dramatic staccato three-sentence structure. It uses way too many M-dashes. It constantly uses words like delve, tapestry, or testament.
It's technically grammatically perfect, but it feels completely hollow.
Yes, completely generic. It has no soul.
Which brings us to a brilliant analogy from the sources. The movie star versus the franchise model. Decades ago, you went to the movies specifically to see a movie star. You bought a ticket because Leonardo DiCaprio or Denzel Washington was in it.
Right, the plot was secondary.
Exactly. The plot was secondary to the specific, unique charisma of the human being. But today, The Hollywood model has shifted almost entirely to the franchise. People go to see Marvel movies regardless of which actor is wearing the suit.
The individual variation is just gone.
Gone. If AI makes every company's marketing, code, and strategy generically high quality with no variation, there is no competitive edge left. It is all just one big generic franchise.
And human beings inherently crave variation. Look at the Beethoven blues example. Simon Sinek was talking about listening to the musician John Batiste, who released an album where he plays deeply emotional blues versions of Beethoven sonatas.
Such a great example.
Now, could an AI generate a blues version of Beethoven? 100%. It would take it 10 seconds and the sheet music would be mathematically flawless. But the joy of experiencing that art isn't just the audio hitting your eardrums. The joy is knowing a human being had the bizarre, messy, creative intention to combine those two genres.
Right. The joy is in the human connection, not just the final product.
Yes.
Precisely. When flawless execution becomes free, the only differentiator left in the market is human taste. You are no longer going to be hired for your ability to write the code or draft the legal brief. You will be hired for your taste, your curatorial eye, and your ability to inject unique idiosyncratic variation into a sea of generic perfection.
So it's about being distinct.
Think about a filmmaker like Wes Anderson. You seek out his films because you know exactly what highly specific, strange, symmetrical taste you are going to get. AI doesn't have taste. It only has averages.
So, to the listener, what does this all mean for you? It means doubling down on your unique quirks, your specific life experiences, and your distinct point of view. AI can't replicate your authentic human messiness. But if human taste is our only remaining moat, we need tools and strategies to actually inject that taste into the machine.
Yes, the practical steps.
How do we do that? Let's get into the exact frameworks the sources suggest for applying this today.
The first step is what we can call the $20 rule. You must pay the roughly $20 a month for the top-tier thinking models. Depending on when you listen to this, that means specifically selecting models like Opus 47, GPT 5.5, or Gemini 3.1 Pro.
Right, don't just use the default free ones.
Exactly. The free versions of these apps default to weaker, highly constrained models because computing power is expensive. You have to manually select the premium brain to get the nuanced reasoning capabilities.
That makes sense, because if you are relying on it to be your sparring partner, you need it to be as capable as possible. But the sources also stressed understanding the architecture of what you're using. They talked about models versus apps versus harnesses.
It sounds highly technical, but it's crucial for controlling the output.
It does sound technical. How does that work?
It is actually quite intuitive if you use an analogy. Think of it like a car. The model, the GPT or the Opus, is the raw engine. It does the actual thinking.
Okay, the engine.
The app, like the website chatgpt.com, is the dashboard and the steering wheel. It's just the interface you use to talk to the engine. And the harness is the wheels touching the road. It's the specialized software wrapper that allows that engine to actually go out and search the live internet, or read your private PDFs, or execute code on your machine.
Got it. So understanding that separation helps you realize you aren't just chatting with a website, you are directing an engine. And since we established earlier that this engine naturally defaults to generic, statistically average outputs, the whole Delvin tapestry problem, how does a user actually force the machine to stop sounding like a robot?
This is where the persona hack comes in.
Yeah.
Because the AI is predicting statistical averages, if you ask it for general feedback, it gives you average feedback. You have to assign it a specific persona to constrain its token prediction algorithms away from the middle.
Oh, like giving it a role to play.
Right. Tell it, read this marketing report as a deeply cynical, hostile critic looking to destroy my arguments on social media. Or read this as a totally naive customer who knows absolutely nothing about my industry. By forcing it into a specific perspective, you get vastly different, highly actionable feedback.
I love that. And for generating writing that actually sounds like you, there is the voice hack.
Yes, this is huge.
Instead of accepting its default tone, you feed the AI a massive sample of your own past writing, emails, essays, reports you've written. You ask it to analyze your specific quirks, your sentence lengths, how you use humor, and write a strict rulebook for your personal style.
So smart.
And then you paste that exact rulebook into your custom instructions. It won't be a perfect clone of your soul, but it mathematically forces the AI much closer to your actual human voice.
It is all about engineering your taste into the prompt. And briefly, regarding security, which holds a lot of people back, the sources suggest a pragmatic reality check. Treat your AI platform exactly like your Gmail account.
Good rule of thumb.
Yes, a massive tech company is hosting your data on their servers. But no, it is not a public forum where a stranger can type a prompt and magically extract your company's financial secrets. The systems are siloed. Just use two-factor authentication and practice basic digital hygiene.
That is a very grounding way to look at it.
And this raises an important question regarding agency, because we hear so much about the massive tech giants, Microsoft, Google, Anthropic, and it is incredibly easy to feel like we are all just helpless pawns in their multi-billion-dollar chess game.
It really is.
But we aren't pawns. While those companies build the baseline engines, they actually have very little idea how to use them effectively in your specific industry. Your greatest agency lies in application. You have the power to take these tools and use them to augment human thriving in your specific life, rather than just acting as a middle manager, using them as a blunt instrument to automate away jobs for a short-term profit bump.
That is such a crucial reframe. To the learner listening, your mission isn't to become a highly technical AI programmer. The technology is evolving far too fast for that to be a safe bet anyway. Your mission is to become an expert AI evaluator.
Yes.
You need to be the head chef tasting the soup. You need to be the curator of your own unique taste and the person who has the discipline to force the AI into a debate rather than just lazily accepting its first generic answer.
Cultivate your taste. Lean heavily into your messy human experiences, and do not avoid the friction of real, effortful thinking. That is your ultimate professional mode.
I couldn't agree more. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one brand new thought to chew on as you go about your week. We have spent this entire time talking about how AI is inevitably going to make flawless, hyper-efficient, grammatically perfect work completely free and instantaneous. So if mechanical perfection costs $0 and takes zero effort, will future societies start actually valuing human flaws?
Oh, wow. That is a fascinating implication.
Right, like, will a typo in a handwritten email or a beautifully but slightly inefficiently coded website suddenly become a luxury status symbol?
Yeah.
Will that little bit of human error become the ultimate proof that an actual, expensive, breathing human being took their deeply valuable time to create something specifically for you?
It completely flips the script on what we currently consider professional.
It really does. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the practical reality of the agentic era. Go experiment with that $20 rule. Try the persona hack to challenge your assumptions, and most importantly, guard your messy human taste. It's the most valuable thing you own.